Happy Thursday, everybody. My name is Ptony, your friendly Catholic vlogger. This last weekend I went on a retreat, and good things happened, because that sometimes happens on retreats. It's nice. I was going into the retreat with a very stressed mindset. Not entirely sure what to expect from the retreat, but I knew going in that I had a lot of stuff built up. Like, life is hard. And I was ready for a break. So I was expecting at some point that the overwhelmingness of life and like reflecting on past experiences and like spending time with Jesus and all that, I was expecting all of this to compound into a moment where I would break down crying and just like have this cathartic experience of tears and afterwards I would feel so much better. That did not happen at all, because apparently I'm much too macho to cry anymore. But it was still powerful. There was a phrase that guided me through my entire retreat experience. It didn't come from a talker, it came from a priest that I went to confession with at the very beginning. He offered me this phrase. It had 3 parts. It went, I can't, you can, I trust you will. And of course that's supposed to be addressed to God. And that was a really nice prayer because, I have my shortcomings as a human being. And personally, my shortcomings, I tend to be very aware of. I tend to carry them around with me a lot, and they tend to be on my mind a lot. Am I going to continue this line of thought? Probably not, because this is dangerous territory. But that phrase became a motif for the entire retreat for me. I repeated it to myself in every meditation time that we had, every chance we had to pray. That came up at some point. Usually I started with it. And it's something that I've taken with me out of the retreat world into the real world, where I will take a moment and stop and I'll say, Jesus, I can't, you can, I trust you will. So on Saturday morning, I decided to ponder, what does it mean to trust? And I wrote down some excerpts that are sticking with me. Jesus, what does it mean to trust? It means having confidence that I'm safe. Things that need to be okay will be okay. Living in trust doesn't mean everything will be easy or pleasant. There will be things that feel important to me that just aren't as important to you. And trust means I let go of these things. There will also be things that don't feel important to me, but are important to you. Trust means embracing those things. Trust comes up against my blindness. It means that for all the intuition and logic that you've given me, Lord, I don't always know what's best. Trust means I accept that. Trust means I embrace that. Trust rejoices in my ignorance because it means I can depend on your wisdom. Trust relieves the pressure of needing to figure everything out. Trust is a little boy in the middle of a big city who doesn't have to worry about a thing because he's holding his daddy's hand. Without trust, there is no love. With trust, there is nothing but. Father, I want to be that little boy. I want to reach up and grab your hand. Hopefully there wasn't heresy in there because, good stuff for me to remember, I think. I feel like if I lived out those words, I'd be a better human. But there was another theme that ran even deeper. I pondered a lot. Well, a lot of the meditations were structured around the idea of, do I know that God loves me? Like, it's one thing to know it up here, is do I know it down here? Because that's a different thing entirely. Do I know in my heart that God loves me? So I wrestled with it a lot. And I wasn't getting anywhere with it. And Jesus was just like looking at me. Like, I'd go to the chapel and I'd pray and Jesus would just like look at me. And I was like, Jesus, do I know that you love me? And Jesus was like, until on Saturday night during adoration, I just had this moment where I said, wait a minute. I think I do know that God loves me. If I look at my life right now, like I'm struggling. And I have things that I'm working on and I'm falling short in some areas of my life and, it's a struggle. Life is a struggle. But then I began to wonder, like, what's keeping me going? With all the falls that I have, with all of my weaknesses, with all of the tiredness that I experience, and sometimes the severe lack of motivation, what keeps me getting up in the morning? And I realize it's because I have a conviction that God loves me and I love God and I'm going to keep on going because he really is taking care of me. And just in some not so obvious ways sometimes. But I don't actually need to doubt whether or not I know that God loves me. I have that. Not everybody necessarily has that. I do, and I'm very spoiled because I have that in my heart and I can see it keeping me struggling. It's keeping me from giving up. So at the beginning of this vlog, when I was talking about how I didn't cry because I'm a macho man, that was a little frustrating for me. I wanted to cry. I was looking forward to crying, but then I realized, it's okay. I don't need like this spiritual high. The powerful thing about the retreat for me was knowing that in the midst of this struggle, in the midst of this dryness, that's where I can see the relationship of God in my life. Like, this is evidence that I've grown as a human. Ha! That's so great, honestly, that feels good. Okay, I'm gonna stop on that high note because I like painting myself in a good light. I don't do that very often. Or wait, maybe I do, I'm not sure. But in brief, I am struggling. And I am struggling to grow in virtue and to love God more and to get things in place that need to be in place. And as I took a weekend away to take a closer look at what is my relationship with God like and how do I think God might be leading me forward in that relationship, it wasn't an invitation to recommit myself to the struggle, because honestly, I'm fighting. I am fighting. What I need to remember is that in the midst of that struggle, it only makes sense if I have a real relationship with God. Like, prayer can be more than just asking for grace for the next battle that I fight or asking for forgiveness for the last battle that I lost. Prayer can also be about just spending time with God and enjoying God's presence. That's a good thing. And honestly, I don't tend to do that. I tend to just puzzle through things. I tend to just try to figure out stuff so that I can go do stuff. And I forget, hey, you know, sometimes prayer can just be resting with God. Did any of that make sense? I don't know. Makes sense to me, but that's because I said it. And it only half makes sense. God loves you. God loves me too. I'll see you next week. God bless and ciao. You might have noticed it's getting colder in the Northwest. I'm ready for spring. You know, I'm beginning to wonder, is this place actually the right place to be filming videos? What happens when it gets colder still? It's only November. Winter doesn't even start until December. Maybe we need more like global warming or something. Trigger warning, by the way. I don't believe that. I don't believe that we need more global warming. That was a joke. I might have pushed somebody's buttons, but I don't know what else to say for this after credits. Love you all. Bye.